The ONS have released new immigration figures outlining that net migration has decreased by 20%, but it seems that last year was the highest number of immigration. So, what the hell's going on? Well, let's watch your Sky News breakdown of the
The
figures.
numbers here are a little bit complex, but actually, I want to show you this chart, then hopefully it will become clearer, because some people say it's falling, some people say it's rising. What's actually going on? Well, this is what we were told was happening with net migration. And remember, that's just the difference between people coming in and going out. Last year, so this time last year, we were told there was obviously a bit of a dip around COVID. It went up really sharply, but that it was starting to fall, OK? That it was starting to fall. Then we got revised numbers 6 months ago, and the picture was slightly different. It was a little bit higher, that peak, but again, we were told it's falling. This time around, we're still told that it's falling, but just look at the shape of this chart. That line goes much higher than it did last time around. In other words, history is being revised and that peak is being pushed up, even if maybe that is now starting to fall, but still there are question marks as to how big of a fall it really is. Just to give you a sense of what we're talking about here with this kind of change in the picture that we're learning about, this time last year we were told that in the year to June 2023, so last summer, there were 672,000 in net migration. Now, in that same period, we are told, actually, it wasn't that, it was 906,000. So a very big difference between those two, raising the question, why? And if we just take that, so starting with last year, as I said earlier, migration is net migration when we talk about it. It's just the difference between people coming in, that's immigration, and people going out, emigration. So one minus the other gets you to that number. This is what we were told last time around. They've had updated data on how many people have come in from Ukraine, from other sources as well, how many people are leaving the country. And now they think, actually, it's a bit different, OK? It's a subtle shift, but actually it adds up. In fact, 140,000 more people came in over that period. And look at the number of people going out. 94,000 fewer people leaving. And put those two things together and then you've got that bigger number, closer to 1 million people. But it's worth just asking the question, if we take a step back, what is it that led to this? And if you look at net migration over the period before COVID and Brexit, it was relatively steady. It's certainly in not tens of thousands as the Conservative government would have liked. But look what happened after those new Brexit rules came into force. Just look at these lines and how they change. So total net migration...
Oh, the irony. Oh, the irony.
This is immigration. Total immigration went up really sharply, but also look beneath the surface. So EU nationals coming into the UK, that dropped down. That used to be the highest, OK? And then non-EU people has gone up incredibly sharply. And actually, interestingly, when you break that down and ask people where they come from and indeed what they're doing here, it's quite an interesting pattern, OK? So you've got, by far and away, the biggest is Indian nationals coming into the UK. Then you've got Nigerian, then Chinese.
Nigel Farage said actually he would be very accepting of Indian people because of our cultural and historical relationship. So would he have a problem with this? I'd be very interested to know if he did have a problem with these numbers.
Then Pakistani, then Zimbabwean. And these numbers, by the way, are bigger than any previous nationality, much bigger than Polish people coming into the UK, for instance. But look at the breakdown, OK? Those light blue bits, that's people coming in to study. The dark blue bits, people coming in to work. So there's a lot of light blue, a lot of people coming in to study. In fact, with India...
Which we don't talk about, actually. We've got some of the best universities, most desirable universities in the world. Cambridge, Oxford, Warwick. You've got London. There's 27 universities in London alone. And people come and are basically propping up our university. And there's actually a crisis in the university because people actually aren't applying as much as they were. So the idea that it's all people just coming over. No, actually, a majority are coming over for university and then for work. So we need to really be honest about, big numbers, but why they're here and do they stay here afterwards? Often they don't because they've got opportunities all over the world. There's more opportunities than there are, Australia, America than there is the UK. Yeah, we've got good universities, but a lot of people, after they finish their degrees, they're going elsewhere.
You're talking about more than 50% of Indian nationals coming into the UK, 135,000 are students, not necessarily work visas. Final thing just to note, a lot of people have been asking the question, how much of this is small boats? OK, remember a lot of coverage on the news about small boats. the numbers in terms of small boats, and these are the kind of latest numbers for the year going up to September 2024, you're talking about 30,000 people. Now compare that to the other reasons that people are coming into the UK. Look at that red bar versus all the others. Other asylum, safe and legal routes, that's Ukraine and Hong Kong. Family, study.
Do they talk about this? Again, Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, they talk about, oh, coming over, the game in the system. No, work and study. They are propping up both our economy in many ways. Farmers, fruit pickers, doctors, nurses, carers, care workers massively rely on, and then universities. They are literally propping up our university sector. And even that's in trouble because of the decreased levels of application because of the antagonism towards immigrants and people coming over.
And work. There is a massive difference, isn't there? And if you just stack them all up, one on top of the other, you can barely even see that sliver that's small boat. This is mostly a story of people coming into work, people coming into study, and then other routes as well. The big question, though, and it's still unanswered, is whether it's really now, finally, actually starting to come down.
Yeah, and we won't probably know that for a little while yet because, again, counting these people, finding out where they are, it takes probably funding. And I assume the Tories probably cut that. They probably weren't on that, were they? Let's be honest. They weren't on many other things. So the image of small boats is very powerful. It's very evocative. You can get a good photo shoot. It's a great media opportunity to demonize immigrants. But again, look at that. It's a tiny sliver. But they don't talk about the whole story. And that's my problem with the immigration debate. They don't talk about the wider debate of what we need, what we don't need, the fact that the majority of people come over. 1/5 of our workforce are immigrants. They contribute greatly. And then you've got the other half coming over to study and prop up at university. We need to be honest about that. And then also talk about what do we need? What numbers do we need? Because we do need carers, we do need nurses, we do need doctors. Are we going to train our own? I think we should. Are we going to fund that? Where are we going to get the money from? Because, again, it's easy to say fund this. It's expensive. So comment below, tell me your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next video.